Hello and welcome to a cEDH TV gameplay with me and Pontus, joined by, there he is, Rhetoric.
Hey guys.
And Def.
So I'm back with Aragorn. Really love this deck. It just has lots of different options, mostly just trying to do infinite damage with red creatures or spells. And it worked last time on the channel, so I thought I'd come back again and make Aragorn climb from the mountain.
So I'm trying out Elsha. This was the only deck that managed to snag a win for me in Swiss of Mox Masters. So I am trying the list.
And I'm playing Sauron the Dark Lord. Basically, your Grixis good stuff. We have Fastest Oracle, we have Breach, we have Dual Caster, and we have one massive Sauron ready to beat face.
I'm playing Lonis. I think Lonis is pretty cool. We played him before. He never really had a chance to showcase what his cool stuff is, because the games were really fast. But this is basically a Simic creature-oriented deck that is making a lot of clues and creating infinite clues eventually into a infinite steal or something of the sort. Very Simic stuff in general. And with that, let's take a look at some opening hands. So we have a Soldering, and we have a Rhystic Study. We have a Gemstone Caverns that won't do anything because we're the starting player. However, Soldering, Rhystic Study, we even have a Force of Negation to potentially protect our Rhystic Study or interact with our opponents. So this feels like a very good keep. Also, this deck can't tutor for our Rhystic Study. We're first in turn order, so we're gonna slam Rhystic Study into play turn 2 when they're gonna take their turn 2 as a follow-up. So I think this hand is like great. It's not really gonna do the Lonis game plan, but with Rhystic Study we're gonna draw into more cards and continue winning from that point. Rhystic Study is like a top card currently in the format right now, so an opening hand that consistently delivers a Rhystic Study turn 2 is something of a snap keep in my opinion, depending on. Very happy. Let's take a look at what Aragorn Rhetoric is able to find.
So we have Carpet Flowers, Imperial Recruiter, Grand Abolisher, Get Probe. Grand Abolisher could shut things off. Imp Recruiter could help us get Dockside. We have several blue players in this pod, so I think with Carpet Flowers we might be okay, and plus we're second, so perhaps Mons will play an island right before that. We'll see. I think we're going to go for it. Like I said, I'm always on brand in this channel by just keeping the first 7 just to learn and see what the consequences are. Because we have something to fetch up Dockside, because we have Grand Abolisher and Get Probe to look at someone's hand, I think we've got some good options here.
Gemstone Caverns, turn 1, to a Ledger Shredder turn 2. I have 2 lands, I will get probably rid of this, or I can get rid of the Chronox actually. I have a turn 2 Ledger Shredder with Lotus Petal activation as well. This way I will keep only these 2 cards, and that feels a little bit too risky. Not gonna lie, I will try again. We do have a Rhystic, we have the console. We're going third, we might do better on this. Yep. We have the Grinding Station, Imperial Seal, Orcish Bowmaster, which means we can put the Volcanic to the bottom, which we can then fetch with a Misty, and then we can do an Imperial Seal for something and have Orcish Bowmaster turn 2 to start cleaning up and kill stuff. What do we want with? Well, I guess it depends on what we draw, but maybe something to ramp us out into Sauron or into... We're keeping the 6.
So close, but this being a only colorless mana source hand, it's really sad. Fish going last, this is a decent fish pod, especially like mid to late game fish. So there's not a way to guarantee that we get the fish mana. We're also going last. Fish is a bit worse. Still good. This is just the same hand, but upgraded. We're not really all in on the fish, but we're kinda all in on the fish. We could instead just go turn 1 land, turn 2 Signet fish, assuming this game to go a bit longer. The One Ring gives us a lot of staying power, but it's a kind of late One Ring overall. I could see myself mulliganing this for more mana, but I think this game won't be that turbo. I'm gonna keep this on.
Let's start the turning game! I'm gonna draw a card. Let's begin with that. I'm gonna play this Scalding Tarn and sacrifice it. Finding a tropical island, let's tap it to cast a Soldering turn 1. And then I pass the turn.
All right, take my turn. Draw a card for turn. Good stuff. Okay, so we will do Taiga, tap Taiga, Carpet Flowers, Mana Crypt. My sworn enemy death. I will Get Probe you.
Get Probe me, you say? I don't have the ring just yet. So Rhetoric. This is what's in my hand. My hand. This is in my hand. This is in my hand. This is in my hand. And this is in my...
Okay.
Back where it was.
Draw a card. Okay, I'll move to second main, and Mons has the island, so I will make a red from it.
I was honestly considering finding a forest. Just because
really
of the potential of this.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you finding that island because with the red and Mana Crypt, I'm going to cast Imperial Recruiter. Imperial Recruiter of a certain goblin. That's really what the card should say. But I will go find Dockside.
It is my turn, and during my turn, there is no life in the void. There is only death. Card, interesting. Virgin Catacombs, I will crack that. We'll go and find what the ground C. Once I found my C, I will go and find a card with Imperial Seal. What is it that I want? I know I have this card, lose to life, shuffle, and put this card on top of my library. And with that, we are done.
Take my turn. I didn't misstep the Sol Ring, or the Carpets, or the Imp Seal. All of those are pretty good misstep targets. But I decided to play a bit more greedy here, because all of those are mana, which usually tells you there's more action coming, and that feeds my fish. I felt like this game was going quick enough that I might almost have to slam my early fish and ride it for as long as I can. So I might get punished for that, but that's the gambit I'm making, and I'm also having misstep up for their fundamental turns coming up now. So let's see if I get bitten in the butt, or if I can ride this fish too quickly. I will shock in this Hello Taunton, taking 2. I will tap it for a fish. Pass the turn.
Draw a card for turn. Land for turn on island, feeding the carpet. I'm gonna cast my Rhystic Study. Whenever one of my opponents casts a spell, I might get to draw a card. Pontus Fish can draw a card, and then I pass the turn.
All right, then. Take my turn. Crypt Trigger, I will flip a coin. Heads, I'll take damage. All right. 3 to the face. To the dome. Then for turn will be this Tropical Island. Okay, I'm going to tap 2 Taiga and Tropical Island. I'll play Dockside. 6 Study, cannot draw. I'll put 1 colorless in the pool. Yeah, we'll make 1 red and then use the rest for Bant going down to, stacking all the treasures. Cast Aragorn. Move to combat, just spread it around. I'll go to Pontus for 1.
No blocks, take 1.
Perfect. I've spent my resources. I'll pass turn.
Misty Rainford. I will lose a life and fetch. I'm gonna go find, the Misty Mountain, the mountains of Moria, the volcanic, where Sauron's dominion may rest. And I will pass.
Go to my turn. Untap, upkeep, pay for fish. Draw for turn. Land for turn will be a plateau. I would like to cast a Mox Stamp, not paying Rhystic.
To the Rhystic trigger. I would like to cast this Orcish Bowmaster. In for Rhystic again.
So I will draw a card on the trigger that I get from Orcish Bowmaster on the stack. So I will draw that one. And now I have no further response to.
On ETB, I will kill Imperial Recruiter. I will amass Orc 1. And now the question remains, Mons, will you draw from your Rhystic Stamp?
I'm still not paying.
Pretty much I'm 100% going to draw home.
Trigger Orcish Bowmaster and ping Dockside for 1.
Mox Stamp and good result. I'll tap 2 to cast a Arcane Signet. Not paying for it. Oh, I discarded the planes.
I will draw from Rhystic. You can have your Orcish Bowmaster.
Orcish Bowmaster goes to a 3/3 and kills Dockside.
And then I'll pass turn.
Untap and draw. So we are in a very interesting position. We're also in a very good position, but in a very strange position as well. So we have our huge grind engine, the Rhystic Study. However, we're kind of a creature deck. An Orcish Bowmaster actually kind of hurts us drawing cards, or opponents drawing cards, is pretty much gonna result in Lonis getting killed. Kinda don't like that. However, on the same time, we can play a pretty decent game without Lonis. I mean, we have a Rhystic Study in play. Whenever we draw a card, Orcish Bowmaster is going to interact with things on the board. And Aragorn pretty much wanna put creatures. Elsha wanna come into play later as well. So Orcish Bowmaster could help us. So a question becomes, do we try to interact and remove Orcish, or do we stay in this position? When you're inside this position, you try to evaluate who is benefiting the most per position we're in. My life total doesn't really matter, so if that Orc army grows huge, I'm getting punished by it, I won't really care that much. So I actually think I'm gonna try to play around the Orcish Bowmaster and avoid my commander, and just put some small things, develop time, and try to avoid getting threatened by the Orcish, because eventually people are probably gonna interact with the Orcish Bowmaster, ignoring my Rhystic Study. I'm gonna cast this Yahira, Friend of the Forest. It's a 2/3 that can make my tokens tap for green mana. Then I'm gonna play the Shire. It's a land that comes into play untapped if I control a legendary creature, which I do. And then I have 7 cards in my hand. I pass the turn.
Spicy. All right, let's go to my turn. Roll for crits. Heads, I will take the damage. Man, flip to heads. Very unlucky. All right, so take a bolt to the face for 3. Draw a card. Land for turn will be Savannah. Carpet of Flowers, I'm going to make 2 white from Mons' Islands. And then I'm going to cast Grand Abolisher. You do. I will pay for it. I'll pay for the Ristic Study trigger by... actually, I'll pay for the Ristic Study trigger by tapping Mana Crypt. Trigger Aragorn. I'll make a soldier. And then, before that, I'm going to tap Savannah. I'm also going to cast a Noble Hierarch. Yes, and I'll pay for Ristic Study with the Mana Crypts remaining colorless floating. This will make Aragorn a 9/9 temporarily. For a Middle Earth! We're going to send Aragorn at death.
The token blocks.
Okay, sorry, it's a 10/10, I guess, because of the Exalted trigger, but yeah, still. I have 2 mana up, 2 cards in hand. I'll pass turn.
I will play this Otawara, Soaring City is my land for turn. And then I'm gonna cast Talisman of Dominance, not paying for Ristic Study or
I'm drawing a card.
ping Grand Abolisher. You could say he was abolished from his duty. And with that, the flesh being flayed of that Grand Abolisher passed.
Go to my turn. Upkeep, fish trigger. So here we can either guaranteed cast a One Ring and start ticking it up, or we can pay for fish. If I would have added the land in hand, I would always just let fish die and cast the One Ring, because we can keep Swansong up with Methanol Misstep. Probably survive with that. But as we don't have an extra land, I'm more inclined towards the fish. But the fish has also been very bad this game so far. And this game seems to be pretty slow, so I think I'm just gonna cast Ring here. If I draw land, I'm very happy. If I don't draw land, it's kind of annoying. Let's see the pod play like 50 different non-creature spells once the fish is gone. I will not pay for fish. Draw for turn. Pay 4 mana for the One Ring.
Rhetoric is not really winning. His Grand Abolisher got killed, his creature board state is getting killed. If he's drawing cards on his turn, which he's doing, his board state is continuously... I don't see Def getting somewhere except he's like interacting with the board state. If the ring resolves, he's in the game with me, more or less. In the end, I actually think I'm gonna use the Force of Negation, because the One Ring eventually can win the game, and that is a deck that is playing keys, the Manifold Key and the other key, to untap that thing, and I don't want that, because that could definitely run away with the game fast. So first, Ristic Study trigger, I will draw a card.
Orcish Bowmaster trigger, kill Noble Hierarch.
Then I'm gonna cast Force of Negation. I'm pitching this blue reshape to the Force of Negation.
Pass turn.
Then go to my turn. We're gonna play this Gemstone Caverns as a land drop. I'm gonna cast my commander Lonis, the Cryptologist. And then I'm gonna follow up by casting a Sanctum Weaver. I will now investigate and create a clue because of Lonis. Then I will use my ability from this creature to tap this one for a green and use that to cast a Springleaf Drum. And then pass the turn.
All right, take my turn. I will roll for the crypt. Heads, I'll take damage. Wow. I flip to heads. Ugh. 3 to the face. Draw a card. Command tower will be a land for turn. Mons, I'm going to try to punch you with Aragorn. And I will punch nobody else. Yeah, I don't know. I'll send it at Pontus, human soldier.
I take 4.
No blocks, take 1.
Pass with 6 mana available and 2 cards in hand.
I will take my turn. I will just do the patient plotting thing.
Tap 1 for a Sol Ring. You may draw.
I will draw 1 card here. Lonis takes 1.
Tap Sol Ring, cast Talisman. Not paying for a stick.
I am not drawing a card, because me drawing a card will result in Lonis dying.
Talisman, good resolve. Tap 3, Savins targets fish. Not paying for a stick.
I will not draw from my Ristic Study.
Savins, good resolve. Fish is back. And then I'll pass turn.
I will draw a card. So, it felt absolutely 100% correct to counterspell that One Ring. But now, we're in a very tricky position. Like, we're building up to the arch enemy position where we're gonna win the game. We're so close, because we could go for the win now. We're not gonna feed the Ristic Study that much. However, if Def just have 2 non-creature spells in his hand, he could feed Pontus 2 cards, and that will trigger his Orcish Bowmaster, and he will kill my Lonis Autologist. However, we can work around. I have a Gilded Drake. I'm gonna cast this Survival of the Fittest, and the Mystic Remora can draw a card.
I will draw a card.
I will grow an army worthy of Mordor and shoot Lonis.
Lonis takes 1. Survival resolves. I will tap this for green, activate survival, and pay Delighted Halfling to search for a creature. I will find this amazing card. And I'm gonna cast my Gilded Drake. Gilded Drake resolves. ETB.
I could do something to help you shoot Lonis and maybe protect your bowmasters, but I just want to know if our alliance can be reforged through steel and other elements.
No, your arch enemies.
If blood is part of the element, I agree.
Okay. All right, you can spill some blood. Let's cast Submerge, targeting... Yeah, I think we just target your bowmasters because you can flash it back in, eh?
It goes on top of my library anyway.
Yeah, I mean...
Funny,
that would...
you're correct, but it goes to the top of library, correct. So actually that won't work.
I will not pay for fish.
I will shoot one more bow towards Lonis. Make it bleed. Make it dead.
I will tap Lonis and Springleaf Drum in response and float a blue.
I'll pay for Ristic.
I feel everyone is against me. I'm gonna respond to the Submerge with a Force of Will, pitching Chain of Vapor. The fish can, scary enough, draw a card.
Ping Pontus for 1. Rhetoric. Tap my Otawara, City in the Sky, to cast Swan Song, targeting Force of Will, not paying for or...
Am I good to draw? I'll draw.
So Sanctum Weaver is getting ping damage. In response to my Heuristic Study, tap, which I can do later, I will tap this for 2 green. And then I'm gonna let the Heuristic Study resolve and I will draw a card with Heuristic. Sanctum Weaver dies, but luckily I drew a card that is good. I will pay 2 life and Mental Misstep the Swan Song. Not paying for the Mystic Remora. You can draw a card.
I will draw a card.
I will shoot that creature that has the 2 free toughness on your side, Mons.
It takes 1.
And then I have a response. It'd be so bad, but at the same time so good. Here's a Force of Negation. Hard cast on that mental misstep. Also, not paying for Mystic or Risk. Blue, and colorless. Hands on Mons.
Draw fish.
Sanctum Weaver takes 1 more damage because Pontus drew a card. So for me, I'm gonna tap this for green while we're at it. And then I'm gonna draw a card. A Heuristic Study, draw a card.
Kill that creature. Kill that legend.
It's dead. So Force of Negation resolves, countering my Mental Misstep. Swansong counters Force of Will. Submerge resolves, sending Orcish Bowmaster top of the library. And my Gilded Drake's triggered ability fizzles because the target Orcish Bowmaster is no longer there, so I have to sacrifice. But I still gain the clue by casting it with my Lonis. And I get a Swan. So in that total outcome, I think Pontus is the scary win. I will use the floating mana that I have to recast Lonis from the command zone. And then I will use the last green in my pool to discard this Finhorn Elf to my Survival of the Fittest. I'm gonna get Phantasmal Image. This is a second potential option of getting rid of that Orcish Bowmaster, and Pontus might throw down Elsha of the Infinite soon, or South the Field. So yeah, there are targets. So it's a little bit of an all-around option here, as I think I need to be adaptive at this point, as current game plan was shredded into pieces. So we're putting that into my hand, and we're passing the turn.
Okay, we untapped. We're gonna roll for Crypt, or flip for Crypt, I should say. Heads, I'll take damage again. All right, I flipped to tails, so we're safe. Let's draw a card. I'll move to combat. Aragorn and this human soldier will attack Pontus.
No blocks, take 6.
Damage goes through. Second main, I will make 2 blue, targeting Mons with Carpet of Flowers. Tap this and Mana Crypt. I'll cast Intuition. Targeting Mons, I will pay for Ristic with... No, actually I won't.
I'll draw a card.
Intuition resolves. Go fetch up some cards. So the thing that 3 cards I fetched up is Underworld Breach, Lion's Eye Diamond, and Savine's Reclamation.
I will give you Lion's Eye Diamond here.
Cast Lion's Eye Diamond. I will not pay for fish because I can't, but I will pay for Ristic.
I will draw a fish.
LED resolves. Crack it, discarding my hand, which is March of the Swirling Mist. We'll make 3 white. Cast Savine's Reclamation.
Swan Song on Savine's. Not paying for a stick.
I have been thwarted. I took my shot. All I can say to the audience is usually you go for like intuition a little bit later at someone's end step, but like that's me waiting 3 more turns and just felt like everybody was going to accrue more value. So I was like, I will go for it and see what happens. But I'll pass turn.
Move to attack and hit Pontus for 12.
No blocks, take 12.
I will just simply pass turn.
Upkeep fish trigger, I will decline. I will draw for turn, play command tower, land for turn, cast the Teferi.
I am going to trigger my Rhystic Study here. I would like to mention that I do not have any interaction versus Teferi. However, my friend Def, if you put your creature into play and I draw cards while he's casting spells, we can kill the Teferi together.
Sounds like a plan, because I have nothing better to do anyways. In response to the fairy, not paying for Rhystic by the way, I will cast Orcish Bowmasters, the MVP of this game.
I draw a card. I have no response to Teferi or Bowmaster.
We'll hit the field and shoot Pontus for 1.
I will then pay for Rhystic.
Darn, I will not draw a card. I have no response to Teferi.
Teferi resolves. Bounce the Bowmasters.
Yeah, Bowmaster comes back to my hand and I am out of this game.
I will draw a card. I will cast a gamble. Give me draw. Find this breach. Discard a card randomly. Discarding Imposter Make. Fragmentize on the Rhystic Study.
My Rhystic Study is kaboom boom.
Cast a mana crit. Cast a Lotus Petal. Take damage. 1 colorless floating. Cast a breach. Exile 3 cards to cast a gamble. 6. Storm count is 6, so this should just work, yeah. I'll find the Brain Freeze, put it into my hand, discard a card randomly, discarding Brainstorm, crack Lotus Petal to cast a Brain Freeze. I have Lotus Petal in my graveyard and Brain Freeze with Storm count 7, I think. So from here I can repeat these two with Breach to mill through my library until my library is completely in my graveyard. I will cast a Bribery targeting death. So for the casual players in our audience, you probably know this does already, but for you cEDH players out there, this is a 5 mana sorcery, 3 and 2 blue, that says search target opponent's library for a creature card, put that into play under your control, and then they shuffle their library. So this Bribery will target death, and since he has a Thassa's Oracle in his deck and my library is empty, I will have a Thassa's Oracle ETB trigger on the stack to win the game. Good game!
Drawing cards wins games, guys. Good game.
So I went for it, but yeah, they had too much interaction. Sadly, it didn't work out. Typical.
Yeah, we just went for it anyways, knowing that one of our opponents had many cards in hand, but that's what you do. Good game.
Battle at Helm's Deep did not go our way. Even if we held the table hostage with a nice Bowmaster, I never drew the 5th mana to actually guess my ad nauseum and try to go for the win. But it was still hilariously fun.
Who needs a commander when you got Breach?